Oi, guys. Hope everybody's having a great day, month, week, whatever it is, or whenever you're watching this. And, I wanted to talk about a subject that's pretty much close to my heart because I have them, and that's about being a dad and mental health around your kids. It's not an easy subject. And I know too well that, with my own two girls, I have two girls who are older now, but I've had anxiety, depression, and anger, which is now, I believe I probably had rage back then and not really recognizing it, but definitely have rage situations as well. But back then, what did I know? I didn't know anything. I really didn't understand what mental health was as far as my own mental health with the anxiety and depression, and didn't really have depression in the beginning. Started off with anxiety, and gradually that anxiety grew. And then after moving to the US is when we really had a name to put to it, because I didn't even know what was going on, to tell you the truth. I just thought it was something you lived with. I knew there was something not quite right, especially when I was around other people, and here I am in a fearful mindset, and there's nothing really to fear. So, yes, it was putting me in a situation where you can kind of understand that there's something going on there, and it's somewhat to do with the fears, but not to the extent that I know now. And thank God, I found a way. So, and the reason I do this is because it's all about the journey. And one thing I want to start with is, when it comes to our children, explain to them what it is. When they start to be able to understand, I didn't do that. Like I said, I didn't know the importance of this. I didn't know anything. It's the reason why I honestly believe that I go through these certain situations. I have gone through a lot of these different situations with my own mental health journey, and now I'm able to get out there and teach and show other people. There's too many times when things have come up and I thought, phew, I've had an experience with it. and thank God I have, because, as painful as some of these things can be, being able to work through it and then being on this journey and learning, and I've got a fantastic therapist, absolutely amazing therapist. Big shout out to Judith. Absolutely amazing therapist that still I work with, and I'm working on some difficult things now that come up, and it's okay, understanding it, being with it, and working with it. But I didn't know about the importance of really teaching my daughters back a good few years ago, because again, I looked at it as something that I might have been a bit crazy even, and was worried about, and didn't really know what was going on. And you don't really want to come out. I know it's it's not a good thing, but I didn't really want to come out myself. I didn't really want to come out and say anything for the thought of they're going to think I'm crazy. I'm the dad, especially when you come from a household where the dad was clean, so to speak, and here you are wanting to follow that pattern. And I never heard my dad say anything about fear or anything. And he fought a war. He was a commando in the Second World War. So, to say that he didn't have any fear, when I sat in front of my therapist and started telling her some of the stories that I'd heard about, and she told me he had PTSD, which is a lot of fear, it was, didn't even register, didn't even exist. I didn't hear it. So here I am as a dad, and feeling these feelings of so-called weakness that I felt, and it's not. Don't look at yourself as weak. If you're in a dad position, don't look at yourself as weak. You're not weak at all. It's something that you don't own. We don't own our mental health. It's there. We see it. We know it's there, but we don't use it for it to. We don't allow it to become us. And I didn't know that either. I just thought it was something that I had, and I never getting rid of it, didn't know how to work with it, walked around in fear all the time, and then the anger starts. And to say that I haven't had an effect on my daughters, I'd be lying, because I can see certain traits that they have picked up on. And yes, I hold my hand up, and especially when I see what's happening in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. So explain to your children what it is. Sit them down and have that conversation. Let them know what's going on. Don't try and hide behind something, because they will see it. And the avoidance comes as well, to where they will start avoiding you and moving away from you, because they have no understanding of it, and they may be in fear, not knowing what's going on with dad, one of the parents. I'm not just talking about dads, as it comes to mums too, but I'm talking about myself being a dad. So go and explain it. Sit down with your kids. Let them know what's going on with you. Let them know what you're doing to work with it. And please go out there and get the help. I work with people now with this. If you want to hit me up, go and have a look at my link tree. You can get a hold of me. Please, please, please get a hold of me. I do one-on-one work with people. This is what I do for a living. And I like to do this, putting these messages out there so that it gets to the right people. And sometimes it can get to the right people at the right time. So please, go and hit me up. Please get the help. Because all it does is it just keeps running and running and running. All the while you're not dealing with the outcomes of where it may be coming from. It's a very difficult thing to work with, because when you don't know, you're sitting in fear. And when you're sitting in fear, that energy is going to pass out to other people, including your spouses, by the way, because it can play on them too. And when there's not an understanding across the board, it's just like good businesses and good jobs will have a meeting, right? They will have a meeting of the people and go over, well, here, this is what we're going to be doing, and this is what's happening within the company right now. It's a good thing to do that. Sit down with the family and just explain what's going on, and, have them show you some love. And by the way, it's a really, like I said, it's a really difficult thing to be able to watch and see your children having some aspects of the mental health issues that you may be having, because you may have been, when they ask or they want to get involved in knowing, sometimes we don't want to know, and you can walk away and get annoyed. I always answer questions if asked. I've never really shied away from it, except when it came to, the kids at times, not wanting to let them know that their dad had fears. Because here we are, supposed to be stand up, strong, the go-getter, the person to come to, the protector, you name it. But when you're working with mental health, when you're looking at certain things that they may be looking at you and wanting to move away from you as far as their own fears with it, and dad isn't in control. And I'm not saying that my girls have ever come to me and said that, but let's face it, we don't look like we're in control, especially if we're going into one, especially if the depression hits and we're in a bit of a state where we may be in bed and we may not be able to move, right? But due to depression. And how does a little one see that? How does a little one take that? They don't understand. So they're going to come up with their own conclusions unless they start to know and understand it a little better. That, hey, this ain't me. This is something that I work with, and I'm working on it. So please get out there and get some of that help. Now, when it comes to my anger and rage is it's a situation. It comes from certain areas in my life, especially when it comes around bullying and the anger that I have there. And when that kicks off, that can be very scary. And the one thing I've always said to my wife and both my girls, is I will never, ever, never, ever touch you. Now, never, ever have. Because it can be very scary. And if you do have these situations, the best thing to do is move away from the situation, walk away from it, and don't go there. My girls, again, before I started this journey, started to work with this, and I'm not saying I'm a bloody absolute monk with this, because I'm not. I slip. I'm human, and you will slip, and you are human. And don't have anybody tell you that you have to be whatever this word perfect is, because no one knows really what perfect is, right? Because you're not. None of us are. None of us are perfect. We're going to slip. But show them that you are continually working, continually pushing to be that better person, and move away from the anger, move away from the rage before you even get there. Because and then you don't pull them into it and have them coming up again with their own conclusions. Being a dad or being a parent in general with mental health issues is not an easy thing. It's a difficult thing. But you can make this better by working on yourself, understanding where these things are coming from, working on root causes, seeing upbringings and programs and belief systems that may have been picked up that you can now change with the knowing. It's when we walk around without really fully understanding what is going on ourselves and literally thinking that that's it, I'm never getting rid of this, I can't even fathom how to work with this at all because it takes over. And we're not working on the parts of what is actually causing the issue in the first place. It's a difficult thing to walk around just blindsided by these things and not having an understanding yourself. So how can we expect other people around us to understand? Especially when it comes to our children. So please have that little sit down with them. Explain what it is. Explain where you're coming from. Explain some of the reasons why. And have them know that, hey, I'm on it. I'm working on it. It's not going to beat me. I'm going to keep pushing. And I'm going to make myself better, better, and better. I always say to myself, make me a better person than the day before. Make me a better dad. Make me a better husband. Make me a better friend. Give me understanding and insight and show me the way forward. That's all you can ask of yourself, is to keep pushing forward. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep that PMA, the positive mental attitude, and the PPA, the positive progressive actions, towards figuring these things out and helping yourself, which is now going to help other people around you. Again, especially our children. Stay the course, guys. Namaste.